In Tanzania, the dry season does not arrive in a single clear instant. It comes with a slow retreat of water. First, the smaller pools vanish. Then the grass loses its color. Then the river begins to shrink, exposing a ribbon of pale sand like bone. Only when every creature that depends on it is dragged toward the same narrowing source does the truth become undeniable. The dry season has taken full command. The Tanzania River becomes the last artery of an entire region. As surrounding waterholes evaporate beneath the sun, thousands of creatures are left with no choice but to converge here. What was once a source of life becomes a stage too small for too many minds, too many bodies, too many hungers, thirsts, and instincts for conflict. In the remaining mud pools, an old and brutal authority still holds on, the hippopotamus. They are almost imprisoned inside what was once their kingdom. By day, they can do little except remain submerged for hours in brown mud, protecting sensitive skin from the burning white. They look like enormous sleeping masses. But that silence has never meant gentleness. Only when darkness falls, when the air softens slightly, do they leave the water to feed, dragging smooth pathways across the grass. And even in the harshest season, the hippo continues to nourish the ecosystem in ways few others can. Its waste returns nutrients to the water, helping aquatic life endure the season of depletion. A massive, violent, unpredictable beast is also one of the quiet sustainers of the world around it. On the savannah, paradox is not an exception. It is the rule. Then larger shadows appear along the sandy banks. Elephants, the wisest inhabitants of the dry lands. They have crossed dozens of dusty miles each day beneath the leadership of the matriarch, a creature carrying in her memory a map invisible to the eye. Before them, the Tanzania is now nothing more than a white strip of sand, no visible drop of water left on its surface. But what other animals read as emptiness? Elephants read as a riddle with an answer. The water still exists. It has only retreated downward. And with trunks filled with strength and tusks like living digging tools, the herd begins to excavate. Sand flies upward. One layer after another is cleared away until damp mud appears. Then groundwater seeps upward like a miracle summoned by memory. These self-made wells do not save the elephants alone. When the herd moves on, it leaves behind tiny oases where antelope, zebra, birds, and countless other creatures can fight for a chance to drink. The elephant has never been only an immense body. It is an engineer, a guide, and a keeper of hidden lifelines for an entire dying land. But once water appears, death appears with it. Any place that concentrates life becomes a rendezvous point for predators. And in Tanzania, that truth is laid bare without disguise. The heat warps the horizon. Dust hangs in the air as though time itself is thickened. That is when other creatures begin to speak in their own language. Tanzania is not only the battleground of large mammals, it is also a world of birds. The ostrich strides like a machine built specifically for emptiness. It cannot fly, so all power has been concentrated in its long, muscular legs. Height gives it the vision of a watchtower, and a speed of more than 40 miles an hour allows it to outrun most threats on land. If the ostrich is the largest bird, then the Cory bustard reminds us that even flight comes at a price. Heavy, slow, almost reluctant to take wing, it survives through a philosophy of careful energy use. Every step across the cracked ground, every peck for insects and reptiles, becomes a declaration that not every species needs speed to win. Some endure by moving so cautiously, but Tanzania is not only the story of contraction, it is also the story of waiting. The whole land seems to hold its breath, stretching endurance as far as it can until the sky changes color. There are no heroes on the African savannah, only those who come closer to death than the others, and still manage to turn away from it one more time. Each year, this continent witnesses one of the greatest pilgrimages on Earth. More than 1 million wildebeest, hundreds of thousands of zebras, Hundreds of thousands of gazelles, all pressed into one immense current of life, moving through grassland red dust, muddy rivers, marshes, and places where every footprint may be the last one they ever leave. They do not move for glory, they move for green grass, for water, for calves that can stand only minutes after birth, for an ancient urge older than memory. On that journey, every predator knows what the migrating herds know too. Whoever falls half a step behind becomes food. Pause. And that is the first law of this land. Life is not given, it is seized, dragged back, fought for one breath at a time. The question is not who is strongest. The question is who will still be standing when the sun goes down. People call the Lion King. But there are creatures on these plains that do not bow to that title. The African buffalo emerges from the heat haze like a living armored vehicle. A single animal can weigh close to a ton. Thick hide, a massive neck. On its head, the horns fuse at the base into a solid bony shield across the forehead. When two mature bulls collide, nearly a ton of muscle is driven straight into that central point. The impact sounds like timber split by a hammer. In many African traditions, the buffalo is not merely wildlife. It is a symbol of a will that refuses to back down. Because this animal possesses something even many predators do not, the instinct to turn back. When one individual is attacked, the herd may reverse course and charge back in to save it. The lions know that well. They do not attack the whole herd head on. They look for the isolated one. An old bull. A large but inexperienced youngster. A male forced away from the circle of protection. The lionesses begin their work, the way they always do. Divide the angles, use the wind, tighten the pressure. They are far smaller than the buffalo. A mature buffalo may outweigh a lioness several times over. In theory, one clean horn strike is enough to end the hunt at once. So the lions do not hunt by theory, they hunt by tactics. One grabs the shoulder, another bites at the hind leg. A third waits for the precise second the giant loses balance. The hunt is no longer a short explosion, it becomes a battle of endurance. Grass breaks beneath hooves. Dust rises around them. The heavy breathing of buffalo and lion fills the heat. Then comes the reversal. From behind, the black wall returns. Buffalo do not abandon one another easily. They become a moving fortress, pushing their horns outward and placing weaker bodies at the center. The force of hundreds of kilograms of muscle surging back toward the lions is enough to make even the killers of zebra and wildebeest retreat. In a moment, the hunt changes direction. The supposed victim becomes the force of counterattack. This is where the plains overturn, one of the oldest assumptions a viewer brings into the scene. Prey is not always the weaker side. There are moments when prey is the most dangerous thing in the entire frame. But the story does not end with the lionesses. There is still a young male lion standing his ground. He has no pride yet, no territory, no roar big enough to summon an answer. To become a ruler, he must pass through trials like this. Buffalo are one of the harshest tests of courage the plains can offer. One slip, one horn through the belly, one mistimed step, and the life of the animal that dreamed of a throne ends before anyone ever learns his name. On the savannah, power is rarely given. It is tested through risk. Many thrones begin in the blood of those who never lived long enough to claim one. And while the lions are still panting around their rare kill, the broken cackles of spotted hyenas have already begun to travel through the air. Hyenas are not the clumsy scavengers people like to describe. They are relentless predators, social hunters, living in matriarchal clans with strict internal order. A clan may number from a few individuals to many dozens. Their jaws are strong enough to crush bone, taking what other species leave behind. They do not chase like a cheetah. They wear down. They press. They wait for another creature to make the mistake. On the plains, during birthing season, they target newborn wildebeest with ruthless efficiency. A calf falls. The mother turns back. Horns thrust outward. Sometimes maternal courage saves the young. Sometimes it only delays death by seconds. And above it all, broad wings are already circling. Lappet-faced vultures, whiteback vultures, the cleaners of the savannah, do not wait for a drumbeat. They read the air. They see death from immense distances. The largest can spread wings nearly 3 meters wide. Their beaks are strong enough to tear through the toughest hides, opening carcasses for smaller scavengers to follow. Elephant, buffalo, antelope, rhino. All of them eventually require these cold laborers so that death does not become disease. On the plains, nothing is wasted. Death is assigned. It is a form of order that can feel unbearable when seen through emotion, yet horrifyingly precise when seen through the logic of an ecosystem. This is not the clumsy accident of a few million years retold with elegant language. It is a machine too tight, too exact, too merciless, and too enduring for anyone to stand before it without sensing the presence of a design larger than the creatures within it. If buffalo teach lions about the force of the many, then the rest of the savannah still holds giants that do not need large herds to force predators aside. Yet in the greatest bodies of all, vulnerability reveals itself in ways no one expects. On the African savannah, power does not belong to the largest creature. It belongs to the one that understands its own boundaries. A black maned lion stands alone over the carcass of an African buffalo weighing nearly 700 kilograms. Blood still darkens his muzzle. Dust still hangs above the grass that was flattened only moments ago. He lifts his head, opens his jaws, and the roar rolls out like a shockwave. That sound does not merely tell the plains that this kill has an owner. It sends a much older message down into the muddy water below. I am here, and I am strong enough to keep what is mine. But on the savannah, no declaration survives without being challenged. Beneath the silt, underwater so still, it seems to have been asleep for millions of years, another power has heard him. Life on land calls the Lion King, but the savannah has never granted a permanent throne to anyone. The lion survives through society, and that is what sets it apart from the rest of the great cats. When night falls, the females fan out in invisible arcs. One group circles with the wind, shoulders low, sliding through tall grass like soft-moving shadows. Another cuts off escape. There is no loud command. Only a glance, the flick of a tail, a pause held for exactly the right beat, then the whole field erupts. The lion's burst of speed does not last long. That body was never made to pursue prey across half the horizon. Its heart is relatively small for its mass, and because of that, precision matters more than fury. Claws drive into the hide of prey. The entire strike happens in seconds, and those seconds decide the fate of the whole pride. The success rate is only around 30%. The number sounds low, but for lions, one victory means milk for cubs, meat for exhausted lionesses, and one more day to protect the territory from rival prides and from hyenas already catching the scent of opportunity. The pride, then, is not a random gathering of hunters. It is a survival mechanism running on discipline, memory, and a bond forged through countless hungry nights. But daylight tells a very different story. Beneath the thin shade of an old acacia, the male lies pressed to the earth, his eyes narrowed against the blaze. The air can push toward 35 degrees Celsius. That heavy mane, the thing that looks like a crown, now becomes a burden of heat. The lionesses lie close together, borrowing every scrap of shade. Cubs paw at their mothers' tails, not yet understanding that this land is already teaching them their first lesson in conserving energy. Lions can rest up to 20 hours a day. That is not laziness, it is strategy. On a plain where one burst may decide whether you live or starve, energy is as precious as water. In the distance, herds of zebra and antelope stand in a veil of dust, watching the predators with eyes that always keep some part of themselves reserved for suspicion. The heat signs a temporary truce between hunter and prey, but all of them know the truce will expire when the sun goes down. There is a softness hidden beneath the broad skull and the teeth. When it is time to give birth, a lioness leaves the pride and disappears into rock or deep brush. When the cubs arrive only a few kilograms in weight, their eyes sealed shut, helpless in the prey. The mother hardly strays. predators. Later, when she returns to the pride, raising the cubs becomes the work of many females at once, a shared nursery in the middle of a blood-soaked landscape. The turning point lies here. The animal people associated with power, with fangs, and with the chase, maintains its dynasty through organized tenderness. But tenderness never lasts forever. When a new coalition of males overthrows the reigning leader, tragedy comes faster. Cubs signed by the old male are often killed. He is the brutal way to force the females back into the estrus, with a plan for victory blood until the future. Hunting efficiency also drops sharply during these transitions. Now to the edges of the territory, the males are already set to be fractured. It is hard to call a system like this chaos. There is a cold rule in anything, a precision in the way each role is placed where it belongs. This is not some clumsy accident, made of a few droughts and a few wet seasons. There's a hand in it that knew each ambush, each transfer of power, each cub's cry rising from the dark grass. And then, while the roar of the lion still hangs across the plains, the water below begins to open. If the lion is the strength of bloodline and pride, then beneath the deep mud waits another form of power, one that needs no family, no roar, no open grass to prove itself. It only needs time. Some journeys do not begin in courage. They begin in a shortage of food. When the grass thins, when the earth hardens beneath hooves, when the smell of rain is still far away, but new pasture waits somewhere beyond the horizon, the wildebeest begin to move. At first it is quiet, a few dozen bodies, then hundreds, then thousands, and the plains become a river of gray-black muscle rolling forward. Among them move zebras, their stripes shivering like the land itself has been split into alternating bands of light and shadow. Beyond them, gazelles, smaller, lighter, easier to lose, but quicker to sense the slightest change in the air. Wildebeest are not built to look noble. Heavy-headed, high-shouldered, sloping toward the rear, they seem assembled from the leftover parts of several different animals. But that awkwardness hides one of the greatest machines of endurance on the savannah. They move not by elegance, but by number and persistence. Zebras serve a different role. They cut the coarse grasses first, opening access to the softer growth wildebeest prefer. Gazelles feed more selectively, always scanning beyond the meal in front of them. All three are here together for a reason. They complement one another like different pulses in the same act of survival. By day, the herd moves like one giant nervous system. Every ear flick, every sudden lifted head, every hoof stamp at the edge of the group spreads like a rumor. Lions read those rumors. Hyenas read them. Cheetahs read them. Every predator knows that when this living river passes through, the whole land changes. Opportunity rises, but so does risk. Because a large herd creates not only confusion, it creates thousands of eyes, ears, and noses. Then comes the river itself. The Mara is not just water, it is a final examination for instinct. From a distance, the surface seems calm. That calm is the frightening part. At the bank, wildebeest stop abruptly. Zebras press close behind them. Gazelles keep farther to the side, legs trembling. None wants to be first. But the longer they wait, the harder the pressure builds from behind, the more thirst tightens, and the stronger the forward pull becomes. One jumps. Then the whole wall begins to collapse toward the water. This is where nature asks its coldest question. When the herd surges at once, who will be half a step slower? Who slips in the mud at the edge? Who is pulled offline by the current? Who loses a calf? Who turns back? The answers change every season. The law does not. Migration is not merely a search for grass. It is one of the savannah's most visible mechanisms of selection. It strips away weakness, poor timing, hesitation. In return, it feeds the whole land. Lions, hyenas, crocodiles, vultures, bacteria in the soil, next year's grass. And once the survivors reach the far bank, they do not stop to celebrate. They simply keep moving. That is what makes the migration so immense. There is no audience in their eyes, no staged tragedy, only the ancient command to continue, even after leaving bodies in the mud behind them. That river of life does not mourn in the human way. But because of it, the savannah never stops functioning. Many predators on the savannah win with speed or teamwork. The Nile crocodile wins with something older than both: patience. It lies under the surface long enough for the river to seem empty, except for sunlight and silt. Only the eyes and nostrils remain above water, narrow, cold, almost expressionless. Beneath that quiet surface is armor, muscle, and jaws built to lock shut and never let go. During the Great Migration, the Mara River is not only an obstacle in the path of wildebeest and zebras, it becomes a dining table for creatures that have waited a very long time. The crocodile does not rush. It does not need to. Life will bring food directly to its mouth. When the herds hesitate at the bank, it is already there. When the first animal jumps, it is still there. When the water turns opaque with hooves and panic, that is when its moment truly begins. Tail sweeps, body cuts across the current, jaws erupt upward from below, an animal already struggling to swim. There is no warning. Only a violent pull that makes the surface explode, and then a body is gone as if the river swallowed it whole. But the most terrifying thing about the crocodile is not the force of its bite. It is the way it turns the environment into a weapon. Water slows prey. Mud steals traction. Current breaks the cohesion of a herd. Roaring, splashing, thrashing confuse every life-saving signal. In that world, the crocodile is the only creature that remains calm. It does not need many kills in one crossing. One opportunity in the right place is enough. And if today fails, another herd may come tomorrow. That is the reversal at the heart of its story. The animal that appears almost motionless controls one of the most violent moments in wild Kenya. The crocodile does not dominate by constant presence on the plains. It dominates through memory, attached to water itself. Every wildebeest that stops at the riverbank carries some part of the crocodile's authority inside its hesitation. Every zebra that jerks its head up and backs away by half a step confirms that even when unseen, this predator is expected. And like every other piece of this ecosystem, the crocodile is not only a killer, it removes the weak, the lost, the calves torn away from mothers, the bodies already spent by hundreds of miles of travel. It turns drifting death into food, keeping energy from stopping at the edge of a muddy crossing. It is the ancient memory of this river, as if distant ages still breathe just under the warm African water. When one sweep of the tail sends mud into the sunlight and a hoofed body vanishes beneath the whirl of brown current, the savannah remembers an old truth. Some hunts do not begin in pursuit. They begin in waiting. The sound people call a hyena's laugh does not signal joy. It tightens the air. In the dim light of the Masai Mara, when the last light stretches into metallic strips across the grass, that sound drifts like an ancient signal. There is blood somewhere, a conflict somewhere, an opportunity opening. Hyenas are not beautiful in the easy way humans tend to reward. They do not have the royal bearing of lions or the silent elegance of leopards. Their shoulders are high, their backs slope downward, their necks are thick as if molded from muscle, built only to drag, twist, and wrench flesh from the jaws of something else. But the savannah does not run on beauty. It runs on efficiency. And the hyena is one of the most efficient machines ever shaped for the African night. A hyena clan is not chaos. It is a society. It has hierarchy, matriarchs, alliances, memory, affection, and grudges that can endure for years. The dominant female needs no mane and no ceremony. One stance, one direction, one clipped sound, and the others understand. The cubs tumbling outside the den are not simply playing. They are learning how to read signals, how to enter a feeding site without losing their faces, how to move within a structure that decides who eats first and who waits. For hyenas, survival cannot be separated from community. When darkness deepens, the clan begins to move. Not as fast as cheetahs, not as quietly as leopards. They move with endurance, with the ability to wear prey down until the prey's mind breaks before its body does. A strong wildebeest may outrun a lioness in the first burst, but if a group of hyenas trails it long enough, the run becomes erosion. Breath goes ragged. Muscles flood with acid. One half step slows. Then the formation tightens. The bite does not need to look elegant. It only has to land in the right place, deep enough to make the prey understand that it can no longer continue. And many people miss what happens next. Hyenas are not simply good at killing. They're good at using everything. Their jaws do not stop at flesh, bone, tendon, hide. The things many other carnivores leave behind are crushed and swallowed. It sounds grotesque, but it is one of the most important jobs in this ecosystem. They strip the dead clean, block the spread of disease, and return what remains to the soil. In a landscape where death can easily become contamination, hyenas are sanitation workers the savannah cannot afford to lose. Then there is the quiet war with lions. No treaty, no permanent border, only opportunity and numbers in the moment. A large clan can absolutely harass a few lionesses off a carcass, but the arrival of a single adult male lion can tilt everything instantly. That is where hyenas reveal what they truly are. They know when to risk, when to retreat, when to wait outside the feeding site until the stronger animal is done. Their intelligence is not dramatic, it is practical. It is the ability to read a situation without letting ego kill the chance to survive. And perhaps that is why the hyena is one of the most honest faces of wild Kenya. It does not ask to be admired. It does not need forgiveness for its voice or its shape. It needs only to continue, to hunt when it must, to steal when it can, to clean when everyone else has gone. In that way, it tells an ancient truth. Nature does not hand out medals for being lovable. It keeps what works. Before the sun even touches the horizon, the land is already alive with color. Not the gold of the savannah, nor the green of fertile plains, but an endless sea of pink, stretching across a hostile, unforgiving world. At first glance, it feels like beauty. But here, beauty is never separate from danger. It is born from it. These are the alkaline lakes of Africa. Waters so caustic, so saturated with salt and chemicals that most life cannot endure. The surface lies still, almost lifeless, as if the world itself has abandoned this place. No fish break the silence. No vegetation softens the edges. And yet, beneath that hostile skin, life explodes in microscopic form. Spirulina algae, thriving where nothing else can. And from that invisible foundation, the flamingos rise. Their bodies are not fragile accidents of nature, but precise instruments of survival. Each curved beak, bent in an almost unnatural shape, is a filtration system perfected over millions of years. With their heads inverted beneath the surface, they draw in the toxic water, pushing it through fine, comb-like structures to capture the smallest traces of life. Every motion is deliberate. Every feeding stroke is a quiet victory against a world designed to reject them. But survival here is never uncontested. High above, shadows begin to circle. Eagles scan the surface with cold precision, waiting for weakness, for hesitation. Along Along the edges of the lake, predators linger. Hyenas, wild dogs drawn not by abundance, but by opportunity. They do not need to challenge the flock. They only need one mistake. And in a world like this, a single mistake is everything. The tension builds without warning. A young flamingo falters, its movements just slightly out of rhythm with the rest. For a brief moment, it is alone. And that is all it takes. The shadow dives. The air fractures. But before the strike can land, the lake erupts. Millions of wings explode into motion at once. A thunderous storm of feathers and sound. The sky turns pink, swirling, shifting, disorienting everything that dares to hunt. It is not chaos. It is coordination on a scale almost unimaginable. A living shield, built not on strength, but on unity. Here, survival is not individual. It is collective. And yet, even this is not enough to guarantee safety. As the seasons shift, a quieter, more fragile battle begins. The breeding grounds emerge. Vast mudflats sculpted by receding waters. Each flamingo head builds a small, fragile tower of mud, rising just above the surface. At its peak rests a single egg. One chance. One fragile future balanced against an entire ecosystem. When the chick hatches, it is not the vibrant creature of legend. It is gray, awkward, and vulnerable. It cannot feed itself. It cannot protect itself. It depends entirely on its parents, who nourish it with a rich, blood-red secretion. A lifeline in a world that offers no mercy. But time is relentless. The lake changes. The water levels shift. The chemistry fluctuates. A slight imbalance in the algae, the very foundation of their existence, can vanish. Without it, the pink fades. And without the pink, the system collapses. Then comes the movement. The flock begins to migrate, an endless river of life flowing across a barren landscape. But not all competes. The chick stumbles. It calls out, brief, desperate. The current does not stop. It cannot stop. Because in this world, survival does not wait. Predators close in. The weak are taken. The strong move on. And from that loss, the system endures. Flamingos are not just survivors of this harsh world. They are architects within it. By feeding on algae, they regulate microscopic life, preventing ecological imbalance. Their presence shapes the very environment that sustains them. Every step they take, every ripple they create, contributes to a fragile but powerful equilibrium. As the sun rises fully, the lake ignites in blinding pink. Thousands, millions, standing in silent defiance against heat, against toxicity, against the constant threat of death. In a land ruled by teeth and claws, flamingos survive by mastering something far more powerful. Adaptation. Because in the end, the wild does not favor the strongest. It favors those who can endure what others cannot. In the rainforest, not every empire is built with claws, teeth, or venom. There is another empire, one so small that you could step over it without understanding what you just passed. Across the damp forest floor, through roots, leaf litter, and shadow, leaf-cutter ants operate an ancient agricultural civilization, one perfected by nature long before humans ever imagined farming. Morning in the rainforest is never truly still. Beneath your feet, a living road is already moving. Lines of leaf-cutter ants stretch forward in endless procession, each one carrying a fragment of green above its body like a tiny banner. From a distance, the scene looks almost impossible. The leaves seem to be moving by themselves. The forest appears to be cutting itself apart and carrying the pieces away. But those leaf fragments are not food in the ordinary sense. Leafcutter ants do not eat the leaves directly. They farm fungus. The colony is a superorganism, where each individual is only one cell in a far greater machine. Cutters, carriers, gardeners, soldiers, nurses, deep underground, Their chambers open into hidden farms and nurseries, a buried city organized with a precision so complete it feels almost cold. Some ants are soldiers, their oversized heads and powerful jaws built for defense. Some are so small they ride the leaf fragments, protecting them from parasitic flies and other attackers. Others may spend their entire lives in darkness below, never once seeing sunlight. What appears from the outside to be a chaotic rainforest is, beneath the soil, the site of one of the most structured societies in the natural world. But the most astonishing thing about leafcutter ants is not that they can carry loads many times their own weight. It is that each tiny body seems to live less for itself than for the colony. As though the entire nest is one single creature with millions of legs. Then, a tropical downpour crashes into the forest. The ant highway is battered. Water spills through soft earth and splashes through leaf litter. For many small creatures, such rain would mean disaster. But the ant column does not collapse. It adjusts. It reroutes. It clings and carries on. No shouted commands, no visible leader. Only collective instinct operating like a distributed mind. Leafcutter ants teach the rainforest another lesson about power. Size is not always the measure of dominance. Some empires are built from millions of tiny steps, from coordination so exact that it borders on the unbelievable. And when we watch those moving fragments of green winding across the forest floor, we are not simply looking at insects. We are watching an ancient civilization at work, carrying the machinery of its own survival on bodies no larger than blades of grass. Step away from the open plains and into the rainforests of South America, and the rules of danger change instantly. Here, death does not always arrive in visible pursuit. It drifts through leaves, clings to bark, and waits in silence so complete that sometimes only a pair of eyes reveals it at all. In this green labyrinth, the margay is a small ghost, almost born from the darkness itself. As the forest begins to sink into the blue-green light of dusk, a spotted body appears on a branch high above the ground. It is so light that the branch barely moves. This is the margay, one of the rainforest's greatest climbing specialists. Unlike many big cats that belong mostly to the forest floor, the margay is a creature of the upper world. Its body is designed for height, flexible limbs, gripping paws, a long balancing tail, and ankle joints capable of remarkable rotation that allow it to descend tree trunks in ways that seem to defy common sense. The margay does not need display. In a dense rainforest, the true winner is not the largest predator, but the one that can vanish most completely. A sleeping bird does not know that only a few feet away, in the darkness of the leaves, a hunter's large round eyes are fixed on it. A squirrel leaps too carelessly. A tiny opening appears between two branches. For the margay, that is enough. Up in the canopy, safety and death are separated by only the smallest mistakes. One misjudged leap, one failed grip, one branch too slick. Yet the margay does not merely survive up here. It belongs here. It crosses branches as if walking along private bridges suspended above the forest, moving through a vertical world that many predators can only look up at. But what truly turns the margay into legend is not how high it climbs. It is that, in the darkness of the rainforest, it can hunt in a world most predators were never meant to master. A slight movement flashes through a cluster of leaves. Instantly, the margay lowers itself against the branch, every muscle freezing into total concentration. Then it springs. Not with the brute violence of a jaguar, not with the crushing power of a larger cat, but with speed, precision, and total control. The strike takes place above the forest floor, in a world of swaying branches where even a small sound can shatter the silence. The margay is proof that the rainforest has kings of its own. It is just that their thrones are not set on the ground. They hang between branches, suspended high in the canopy, where only the truly adapted can rule. And when night deepens and the margay melts back into leaf and shadow, it is as though the forest has closed itself. around one more secret. Only silence was worthy of keeping.